We know gut health is so important, especially when it comes to our kids. But when we think of gut health, how do we keep it healthy? The first thing I think of is probiotics, but is that necessarily where you need to go? To break it down for us, we have Nishtha Saxena joining us in studio, registered dietitian. Thank you for being here, and you brought a whole plethora of stuff for us to talk about today. Let's talk about the junk food first.
Thank you. Yes, Kelsey. And you're probably wondering, why is this even here? Well, it's because this is one of the major factors that actually affects children's gut health. We want our kids to have a really diverse gut bacteria. It really helps with their immune system, their connection to their brain, mood regulation. It's really not just about gut function. And processed foods, unfortunately, really pull back that diversity. They kind of work on diminishing the bacteria that we want in our kids' guts. The colors, additives, the low fiber, the excessive sugar, the excessive salt. We know these sometimes sneak into our children's diets, but we really want to try and keep it minimal.
Well, and not just our kids' diets. I mean, all of us. We're all looking at this and thinking, oh, yeah, that's where we go with cookies and pop and hot dogs. Like, we're there on the weekend, right?
Yes. So, of course, it's going to happen. You just want to try and remember when it's happening, keep it controlled, and not be excessive about it, because it does have long-term health effects.
Well, and if we think about our heart, our emotions, our cognitive function, our brains, all being centered in our gut, all of a sudden we place so much more importance on keeping it healthy.
Absolutely. And one of the other factors that really affects our gut bacteria is antibiotic treatment. Now, of course, when we need antibiotics and we need medicine, they work and we need them. But one of those things that we do see with antibiotic use is that it really suppresses good, healthy gut bacteria. And one of the problems that people may not realize is gut bacteria that's affected by antibiotic use can actually be affected for 4 to 7 years after a single course of treatment.
Wow. And like my son, for example, in his first year of life, I mean, we were on antibiotics way more often with daycare and all of that. So 4 to 7 years.
Yes. And of course, I mean, you're using them, you know, your doctor wants you to use them. They're important, they're crucial for medical treatment, but we want to try and then work back and make sure that we support healthy gut bacteria for our kids after the use of those types of antibiotics.
Okay, so we know everything not to do. So let's talk about what we can do. Probiotics, I mean, this is where people go right away, but what about for our kids? Is this what we need?
Yeah, this is something a lot of parents, I get asked this a lot in my practice, they think, well, okay, my child had antibiotics, so why don't I just give them a probiotic and I'll correct that damage.
Right.
Unfortunately, it really doesn't work that way. So probiotics do have some role in children's health, especially if you have a clear diagnosis from a doctor. There are certain conditions that can be benefited from probiotic use, but they're very, very specific. And that means that you have to use a strain-specific probiotic. So you really need expert guidance to get the correct strain, the dose, and the timing of use.
Okay.
In terms of just having a general probiotic that you give your child because it will generally help them, it just doesn't exist.
Okay, so all of these can be different.
They can all be different, and you really want to make sure you're choosing the correct one based on a diagnosis. If you're just giving your child or thinking about giving your child a probiotic just because it'll help them, that can actually be something that could turn negative. You know, these are live bacteria, and in babies and small children, excessive amounts of bacteria can cause problems, the opposite problems of what you may think. They can actually overgrow. They may, in fact, affect some of the actual gut tissue in a negative way.
Okay.
So again, when it comes to kids and supplements, more is not better. And you really want to check with your doctor if you have a specific condition that can be benefited from probiotics. You want to get the correct strain and the correct dose.
I'm imagining there are some natural ways to do all of this.
Absolutely.
And you've got some delicious smelling treats over here. This is one of my most favorite things in the whole wide world. I realized I was saying it wrong because I was saying kefir, but kefir would be the proper way to say it.
Yes, and kefir, kefir, you know, tomato. I think people would understand what you meant, and I know you're a big fan of this. This is a wonderful product for those who aren't familiar. It's a fermented dairy product, and the beauty of it is that it's very high in lactic acid bacteria.
Okay.
So this is a great food source of those probiotic bacteria. You can use it in a smoothie, you can drink it on its own, you can pour it onto cereal. It's a little thinner than yogurt, and it's thicker than milk. One of the things that you want to watch out for is actually trying to find something plain versus having flavor, because then you're kind of going back here, getting excessive amounts of sugar and a very small amount of a nutritious food. But it's a fabulous drink. If you wanted to sweeten it, you could mix it with some fresh fruit.
Totally.
And you want to get kids started early on tasting these kind of, you know, sour, pungent, different tastes.
Flavors.
Absolutely, because that gets them on the road to wanting to try more foods that have diverse flavors.
And for someone who's not had this before, you're thinking, what does it taste like? It's kind of, the best best thing I can think of is sour cream. Kind of that like that sour, like you said,
Yes.
you mix in some fresh fruit, and it's not bad at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that you can have on a daily basis. It's a
Cool.
wonderful addition.
Not only do we need good bacteria in our
Yes.
gut, like you've said, but we also need to prep and prime our gut, and fiber is a great way to do that.
100%. And this is actually the number one thing you can do to help your children grow and maintain that healthy diversity of gut bacteria. A lot of parents miss the idea that if they're going to live down there, those gut bacteria need food to eat just like we do. So these are actually foods that contain things called prebiotics. Prebiotics meaning that when you consume them, those fibers get metabolized, they get broken down by the gut bacteria, they create gases, as we all know.
Right.
But those gases are actually really healthy gases. They keep the tissue healthy, they keep the whole environment growing. So things like leeks, onions, and garlic, great ways to add lots of flavor to food. And in fact, whole grains, these are things some parents might not know. Barley, oats, wheat bran is an excellent probiotic. And seaweed as well. We have apples, bananas. I mean, many children will dive into an apple or banana, no problem. I still haven't mastered the art of cooking an artichoke.
Me neither, but they look pretty.
But they look pretty, and they absolutely have that prebiotic benefit.
Cool. Goals for us, Nishtha.
Goals. Mom
Okay.
goals.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
coming
so
in this
much.
morning. All of this information is on our website, yourmorning.ca.